Beacon Hill is well known for its historic sites, but here's one you may not have heard of, the Vilna Shul. Built by Lithuanian immigrants 100 years ago, it's Boston's oldest immigrant-built synagogue, but for decades it was closed down. That is, until a massive restoration, which, as Arun Rath learned, is revealing some real hidden treasures.
As the original community of Lithuanian immigrants moved away, and this spot on Beacon Hill turned into prime real estate, the Vilna Shul seemed a prime candidate for demolition. But about 20 years ago, a group stepped up to save the building and began to discover artistic treasures hidden under several layers of paint.
They hire an expert who does a little bit of research and actually cuts a small hole with a knife, looks at this back wall, and sees a kaleidoscope of colors.
The synagogue was designed by Max Kalman, the only Jewish architect in Boston at the time. Throughout the building, the restored sections are opening a window into the lives and dreams of this immigrant community.
They all lived in this densely populated, historic West End neighborhood of Boston that was filled with new Eastern European Jewish immigrants and existing African American Bostonians, as well as new Irish immigrants, Italian immigrants.
Everywhere, the shul seamlessly blends traditional Lithuanian Jewish themes and structures with characteristics of its time and place. Pews from an African American church, an ark with an American eagle on top.
A perfect example of how they wanted to be part of not only America, but the New England and Boston culture.
This refuge, and the space it allowed the Lithuanian Jews to thrive, became all the more important as the vast majority of Jews who remained in Lithuania were murdered in the Holocaust.
This enormous round stained glass Star of David says, I'm proud to be Jewish, but I'm also have a degree of comfort and safety, which they never had before they got here, to show the world that this is a Jewish space.
And a progressive Jewish space for 1919, equal seating and a clear line of sight for the female congregation.
Maybe there's a little example of Boston's women's liberation and women's importance in the community right here.
That spirit has attracted a new generation since the shul reopened, like Gilbert and Karen Wynn, who held their baby naming ceremony at the Vilna Shul. That child's great-great-grandparents actually were founding members of the shul.
It does tell a story about immigration and setting up community from places afar, and the fact that it still exists today and is being repurposed, that's an American story as well.
It's the universal immigrant experience. If the community that built this place came today, they'd be referred to as refugees, right?
Kessel says the shul will continue to function as both a living temple and a cultural center reflecting the lives and dreams of Boston's immigrant community. Arun Rath, WGBH News.
The Vilna Shul has been closed during the ongoing restoration, which is expected to be done next year, but it opens for services during the high holidays, resuming with Yom Kippur next week.